Well, we are all privileged to have Colonel John Cluck join us now, the former commander of the 139th Airlift Wing in St. Joe of the Missouri Air National Guard. He is tied into all things Air Force, and I'm sure he is one proud man today after Operation Midnight Hammer was successful. And he joins us now to talk about what he can. I'm going to guess that he knows more than what he can say, but it's always great to have you on, Colonel Cluck. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Kevin. Good morning, and thank you.
Well, let's just first, how proud are you of the men and women who conducted that mission and the way they pulled it off?
You can't be more proud. And not only that, the thing that everybody needs to understand is this is Missouri men and women that are performing these acts and having a worldwide impact. Missouri Air National Guardsmen and Air Force individuals from right there in the local Kansas City area are going out and having worldwide political and impact throughout, and things that we'll live with forever. So very, very, very proud.
Okay, so I spoke with people all over the weekend. Everybody was talking about nothing but this. And so I've got simpleton. You know me, I'm a simple guy, right? So I got simple questions. How do you fly west to Guam and create a diversion? And on top of that, how do all these planes take off from Whiteman and fly 16 hours and Iran has no idea they're in the air? How does that even happen?
Well, that's the beauty of the stealth bomber as far as knowing they're in the air. The radar return on that aircraft is you can't see it, which is why it was developed. So that's a wonderful thing. As far as the tactical deception of launching the planes going out to Guam when they weren't watching the eastern seaboard, that was really the way they came out so public about it. I kind of thought at the time, I don't think they would talk about where they're sending the B-2s that often. So I think they were really just trying to say, hey, look what we're doing here on our right hand, and not anybody's watching our left hand. So that allowed the pilots and the crews to fly over there pretty much undetected all the way from what I've got. And I've looked at their route of flights and stuff like that. They were out of the water clearly a lot, and that would keep them safe.
Yeah. Okay, so 2 pilots in each of these B-2s. A couple of them flew for 37 hours. Nonstop. How do the pilots do that, and what's the maximum you can stay up there?
Well, I think that they could probably go longer. They have to get a bunch of waivers and different things. Clearly, 2 pilots between 37 and 38 hours round trip. Initially, they got airborne and hit some refueling tankers, as you can imagine. They went through 5 refueling cycles over and back. And, they've made as much creature comforts as they can inside the aircraft, to be able to exist for that long a period of time. But it takes a lot. And these men and women were just outstanding.
So what would be like the recommended protocol for one pilot to lay down or close their eyes for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, a longer period of time, on watch? What would the protocols be? Or just as they get tired? How does something like that work?
Well, I think they probably take some short little catnap type of things, but between the air refuelings and the interaction with air traffic control and some of those sort of things, I doubt that they slept very much. Mm-hmm. If you lean back in the chair and put your head down for 30 minutes, you can survive a long time doing that. And then they also, they have other things too. When they get to a certain point, then they have what they call go pills that they use those as well to kind of super caffeine type of a thing. So I think it was busy enough, and with I'm sure the complexity of the mission, that I'm sure that all of them were very well awake and ready to do whatever they needed.
Okay, now everybody driving down the road listening right now just heard you say go pills. Is that something I can buy at Quick Trip, or is that something that the Air Force has that the rest of us don't?
All these long missions, fighters do them as well. They are tested. All of our members are tested, and it's basically an upper. I don't know the drug name, so I wouldn't try to speculate. But it's basically a controlled environment where we can continue to keep the body performing for outside of normal limits. Yeah. A lot of members, most of the fighter and bomber wings have tested them. We test them at the 139th. You have to take them in a controlled environment to see how your body's going to react, to see how you deal with it. So then when we ask you to go out and do a 40-hour mission, you're prepared for how you'll deal with all that.
Unbelievable. Baseball players used to call things like that greenies. They had a tray of them in the clubhouse. I don't know. I'm just sharing that with the. That's not to stay awake for 40 hours. It was to be up for the game after a long night the night before or something like that. But that's incredible. So how do they choose? This came from my wife Jessica, who you've met and know. She wants to know which pilots were the decoys, which were the ones with the payload. Is it random? Is it specific? Is it by rank? How do they decide which pilots are doing what?
Well, that's a great question. I should have asked. I'm sure there was a little bit of all that. They have regular B-2 pilots. They've all come from a different weapons platform, whether it be an F-15, F-16, F-22. You don't go through initial pilot hiring and go straight into a B-2. So I'm sure they've taken some of the individuals, known sets of talent sets and used that as their determining factor. I'm sure that they had their weapons instructors. I'm sure they were all weapons instructors, which is a really intense course for that aircraft. So I'm sure they're all graduates. And, I know that who I talked to last night was the only disappointing thing was that he didn't get to be part of the mission.
Yeah, I can imagine. Is it also true that these planes take off, that the payload is so heavy that there's very little fuel, that immediately they get up high and get refueled once they hit altitude?
Yes.
So
they just like you say, in the takeoff environment, it's just that's the most challenging part of it. Once you're up in the air and you immediately hit a tanker, and you can fill up your tanks and away you go.
Okay, and then when they hit the button, when the 30,000-pound bombs are released, that's it, right? There's nobody guiding the thing. It's all GPS. It's on its own. It's just the
yeah. Yeah, it's all pretty much on its own. The incredible weapon systems that are developed through the the United States military, and you can hit that thing within a couple feet, and something that can penetrate into the ground 200 feet. You are playing a little bit of horseshoes here. It's not, you don't have to hit it exactly, but the bomb itself, I've done a little research on it. It's mainly made up of weight. It's the metal that it's consisted of, just so it has the penetrating force. But then it's also got the guided system on it to get it wherever you want.
And I cannot for the life of me figure out how this bunker buster goes into the ground 200 feet before exploding. How does it go through rock and into a mountain and then doesn't detonate until it gets down below?
Isn't that incredible? I have no idea. That's an engineer question, but that's you're exactly right. To hold itself together to go that deep, 200 feet is a long ways down and many different sorts of terrain to go through. But that's the deal. And then the first one goes in, then they send the second one in right after that. Now you've sort of got it. The second one had a lot easier job.
So this was the largest B-2 mission ever. There were 125 aircraft total that were deployed for this mission. And I'm going to guess that everybody that did this is what you train your whole life for. This is another stupid sports metaphor. This is a Super Bowl or the World Series. They got to do what they were trained to do. A lot of people in the Air Force go their entire career training to do things that they're never asked to do. How rewarding is it for the people that were involved in this mission?
Oh, it's got to be tremendously rewarding. They, you always practice. Sooner or later, you want to get on the field, and this is getting on the field. I'm sure that when they were selecting crews to do these missions, and like I say, I want to once again, that's a total force integrated unit at Whiteman, meaning that it's not only the active duty Air Force that are 24/7, just like anybody else, but it's also the 131st Bomb Wing, which is a sister wing to the 139th. They are guardsmen that live and work inside the community of Kansas City and obviously Warrensburg and places like that. And so those two, they can't exist without the other. So there was guardsmen and active duty men and women on both of those aircraft. So I'm sure they were fighting to get on to be part of this crew, as if it were our mission, I would have been fighting to say, I want to be part of this. I want to get in the game, and I want to, be the guy to help win the Super Bowl.
So when would they have known? They made a big deal about, hey, not very many people knew that we had this planned, and they'd been planning it out for weeks or whatever. If they needed it, there's always you can probably explain this way better, obviously better than me, that there's a plan for something. That doesn't mean you're ever going to do it. So they've known, I think, what they were going to do for quite a while. But when would you know that it's go time? Like, when would the pilots and the crews and everybody know? Would that be several hours before they leave? Would it be like 45 minutes before they leave? Typically, when would you know it's go time?
No, I'm gonna make an assumption without asking them. I'm sure it was a couple days. I'm sure when President Trump gave out the 60-day ultimatum to, hey, come to the table or we're going to address it, I'm sure they started mission planning at that point. In not knowing specifics, I didn't get into it that deep. I'm sure they probably knew a day and a half prior. You'd have to get the crews into crew rest. Clearly, if you're going to fly for 40 hours, you got to get as much sleep as you possibly can before that time. So they had to get the crews in, get them down. I'm sure they isolated them. For many different things. They have some facilities there at Whiteman that they could go in and sleep and things of that nature. So I'm sure that they knew probably a day or two ahead, but they've been mission planning this thing for, I'm sure, weeks.
Okay, so Whiteman would know that they're in on what, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen from Whiteman. Would anybody at any other base, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, anybody anywhere else know anything about this? It'd be silent pretty much everywhere else, wouldn't it?
Well, it's pretty much, except for the other support missions. I haven't really talked to my Topeka contacts, but I'm pretty sure that Topeka either did some refueling for the bombing mission or for the decoy mission out to Guam. So, and once again, people right there in the Midwest, right? Topeka has air refuelers. Whiteman has bombers. So between the two of them, I'm sure that some of those knew they would be put on alert. I don't know. I'm sure they didn't know what the mission was for, but I'm sure they knew that they had alert status coming. Then I think it's also cool how they integrated the Navy with the submarines launching the Tomahawks. I mean, it really is kind of a snapshot of Top Gun Maverick of how they did it. It's quite impressive.
It really is. No question. Colonel John Cluck is our guest. He's the former commander of the 139th Air Wing in St. Joe, the Missouri Air National Guard. So this was spectacular, but these planes are pretty old, these B-2s, and had never done anything quite like this, or at least on this big of a scale. There's a next gen coming, or we have new ones coming. What's the future of Whiteman? And this is historic now, because I think I read one time they're like they may decommission these planes and have a next generation coming, and it might not be Whiteman. I'm like, you got to stay at Whiteman. I mean, this is the perfect place for all this, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So there is a next generation coming. It's called the B-21 Raider. It hasn't. It's in production. It hasn't hit any of the bases yet. Whiteman has been selected as the number 2 base to get them. And so they will continue. I don't know how long they'll keep the B-2 itself around once the B-21 gets out. They're going to build – there's only 20 B-2s, and one of them crashed. So there's not a ton of them left. And I know they're building a lot more B-21s. There'll be more than just one base. Whiteman's the only B-2 base in the world, and there'll be other bases that house the B-21. So, but yes, it's still coming. Whiteman or – the guys there are absolute professionals, and you couldn't not put them there. That'd be crazy.
And are the B-21s, are they small? Are the new ones going to be smaller?
It's a little bit smaller wing footprint, but not much. And it honestly, if you saw them, you'd have to see them next to each other to think one wasn't a B-2. They're very similar.
Oh, okay. And would the payload be even bigger? Would they be able to? I assume if we're building new, 30 years newer, they're going to be bigger, stronger, faster, right?
Well, I know I was reading this morning that they are certainly retrofitted to house this new, this GBU-57. So I'm sure the payload is at least where it's at now, if not more, but I don't have the specifics. Okay,
we've heard the Trump administration and many people, Colonel, say that recruitment is way up in the armed services all across the board. What are you hearing about the Air Force? How's the 139th doing in St. Joe recruiting? Is this true, or more kids coming out of high school going, we want to join the armed forces?
It's 100% true. Yes, sir. They, over the last couple of years, the 139th dipped all the way down to, we look at it as a percentage of manning. We're manned to 100%. We haven't filled all the holes, and I weekly tracked how low that got. Over the last couple of years, we got down to 85% manned, which is bad. And, of course, we were out doing everything we could do, my interactions with you and things of that nature. So it has improved a lot. We're well over 90% now. All the services have already met their goal for recruiting for this year. And last year we didn't meet them. None of them but the Marines met their recruiting goals.
Wow.
So it's just a different world.
And you're going to be leaving. You have a retirement party coming up in August. You're retiring for good this time. You're out, huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah, like I say, I stepped down as wing commander in January to give myself a little bit of time to enjoy the reason I joined the military and actually do some missions. As the wing commander, you spend a lot of time not doing the job. You taking care of the wing and things of that nature. And I wanted a couple months to just do the job and enjoy the flying and interact with the crew members, things of that nature. But looks like August is it, and so I didn't quite make 40 years, 39 years in about 8 months, but I'm proud of my service.
Well, I want to speak for everybody listening right now, and myself, and me and Jessica and the staff here at KCMO. Thank you so much for a great, great career and all that you have given to your country. You're a good man, and you've made a huge difference, as most people in the military do. You've made a huge difference, and I think I don't need to tell you that. You know that, but congratulations to you.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the all the support you've given. As I was the wing commander, I looked at it as a team effort, and we all worked together. And you, through your podcast and through your radio show and other members that you've done throughout time, it's been a tremendous help. And so we work all of this together and solve these problems as one team.
Thank you, sir. Pass along to everyone that you speak with that we're very, very proud of everyone that was involved in that mission and all across the world, those that serve our country. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the phone call, and I hope your members, your listeners, got something out of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. He is Colonel John Cluck. That is just fantastic. He's incredible and did such a great job in St. Joe at the 139th Airlift Wing, Missouri Air National Guard, as their commander for many, many, many years. Recruitment's a big thing. If you're listening, we talk all the time about skipping college and finding things to do, man. This 139th Airlift Wing, they will help you with college. If you join up with them, they'll pay for your college while you learn some sort of craft. You could become an aircraft mechanic, an engineer, an air traffic controller, a pilot, and you name it. The pathway is there. They have scholarships available. There are all kinds of opportunities for young people to get educated or find something specific that they really want to go after. If you're a parent, if you're a young person listening, if you ever want to get your butt in one of those B-2s and fly over Iran and drop a 30,000-pound bomb on a nuclear site, go sign up. Don't hesitate. Your country's calling. And, gosh, I enjoyed talking to Colonel Cluck. Great stuff there.